You're listening to the Ska Mailman Podcast, and this week we have the one and only Fred Armisen. That's right, the Fred Armisen from Saturday Night Live, Portlandia, and countless other things. I got him for about a half hour here in Boise, one of the stops on his tour, and we got to talk about ska and punk and his new sound effects record and the tour that he's currently on. We recorded this at the Olympic venue in downtown Boise, Idaho. A big thank you to Ben for hooking the space up for us. So definitely check out Fred Armisen's 100 sound effects record. It's streaming everywhere now. Check him out on tour. He's currently in Salt Lake City today, if you're listening the day this comes out. And then he'll be in Wyoming and Montana. And then just keep updated. He does these little tours every now and then. Totally worth going and seeing. We're going to go see him live tonight. I can't believe it. It's going to be so much fun. Anyway, here's my chat with Fred Armisen on the Ska Mailman Podcast.
Ska Mailman, step up to the mic, yeah. The Ska Mailman, we're talking music and life, and the Ska Mailman, we're hanging with our friends. The Ska Mailman, listen again and again, yeah. This has got to be the best podcast I've heard all week. I heard from the mailman.
Welcome to the Ska Mailman Podcast. I'm your host, Adam, the Ska Mailman Wallace. Joining me is the one and only Fred Armisen.
Hi.
How you doing, Fred?
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I kind of wanted to get you on because you are one of those figures that goes on the internet that does talk about ska occasionally. And ska is like my whole thing, right? I'm the Ska Mailman, and so ska and punk. And I don't think I've gotten to hear you do any sort of long-form conversation about it.
Sure. Happy to talk about ska.
And so one of the things I remember from a long time ago, you did an interview or a podcast, and you had said when you came into SNL, that a lot of people were like, oh, wow, this is the stage that like Farley was on and Belushi and Chevy Chase. And your first thought was, this is the stage the Specials played on.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you, like the Specials in that two-tone era?
The Specials appearance on SNL was, or is, the greatest musical TV performance I've ever seen. I don't mean just on SNL.
Yeah.
But out of everything I've ever seen on TV live, like, you know, a band actually performing, nothing beats the Specials doing Gangsters.
Yeah.
And I still watch it.
Yeah.
I still send it to people. It still works. I cannot believe how great it is.
Right.
And I grew up on Long Island, like a suburb of New York City, and we had like pretty much like rock stations, like, and little by little, of all things, they did start playing the Specials.
Yeah.
And so I'll never know like how that programming worked, but it worked on me. And then they were on SNL. I lost my mind, and then I keep losing my mind whenever I watch it still.
Yeah.
I kind of can't believe everything that's going on. Every band member is so active.
Yeah.
All the way through. The solo sounds great. Terry Hall sounds great. And I will never forget it. And there are many other bands that I loved on SNL. I loved seeing Talking Heads, Devo, a million other bands.
Right.
But something about the Specials, really, like the energy. I have never seen anything like that. They did not seem nervous. They seemed...
Right.
And I think at the end of it, they jump off the stage and sort of go towards the camera. And it really felt like they were like jumping into my basement.
Yeah. That's kind of the same way I feel like with like when Fear was on SNL, and that's like a huge deal, where Fear was like destroying the place and like being totally punk. And I feel like that ska equivalent is like that performance like you're talking about. I felt like kind of legitimized it as a genre in a way, because now it's on like a huge institution of a show, and they're bringing that punk energy. And you're right, they like never stop at all moving.
No.
And that was one of my favorite things about the Specials too. And yeah, when what does he do the intro where he's like, Bernie Rhodes guns don't argue, and he comes down those steps. It's incredible.
It's incredible. And there's also something about the Britishness of them that was new. So where we associated so much classical rock with England in a really great way, this was like, you know, because MTV or any of those things didn't exist, this was my exposure to like, oh, there's that version of a British person.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other punk band or ska band that I know that played SNL, and it was before you were on there, was the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, yeah.
And that felt like kind of another thing was legitimizing it again as a genre for the third wave. Because the Boss Tones, along with, you know, Fishbone and Operation Ivy kind of cemented that punk, the actual like punk sound of it, where like the Specials had that punk attitude and maybe a little bit of like a punk sound, but as much as 70s punk goes, like,
Yeah.
But then once you start getting into like the ska core of it, and the Boss Tones, I think that's a lot of ways, or one of the ways that a lot of people saw it for the first time and was like, oh, that's like something we can do.
Yeah.
And just from growing up and doing ska this whole time, that's both of those SNL performances were like really big for the genre as a whole. And I just know that you appreciated that. So I wanted to hear your side of that.
Well, I agree with you. And something about the Boss Tones, more than any other bands from that era, they crossed over in such a way that somehow you could almost equate their music as not even sounding like ska. It does sound like ska, but it was such a big hit. Hearing his voice and everything, that his voice was like the focal point. And I remember not going like, oh, this is a great ska song. It's a great song. For me, I was like, this is just a great song. And it was like from my memory, such a massive hit.
Yeah.
And it really seemed to rise above any genre.
Yeah.
And also, I think like, I also never really knew, or I wasn't familiar with Boston's relationship to ska.
Right.
So Southern California, absolutely. England, of course. But something about Boston, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then it also made sense with the personality of Boston. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I could see this working out here.
Yeah.
So, I was really happy about that. Every Operation Ivy, whoever was coming through with that ska beat, I just love that beat so much that it really, really made me happy. And I would hear it on the radio, and I remember just thinking like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Good that's happening.
Were ska shows something you like went to growing up on Long Island?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, really?
And Fishbone, I saw Fishbone so many times. And I remember on Long Island, like, we didn't even have to go to New York City to go see them.
Yeah.
They play out on the island.
That's awesome.
And I have, like, many memories of me and my friends driving out in separate cars, whatever, a couple of cars filled with us. And we loved Fishbone so much. And I still love Fishbone. And they also, like, each subsequent album, like each one that came on, after the next, they expanded a little bit. Like, it was very strictly ska, and then there was like some other stuff going on, and it sort of paved the way for me thinking about music that can expand.
Yeah, totally. I interviewed them for episode 2 of this podcast. I was so lucky to go meet them when they were in town in their hotel room, and we talked a lot about their eclectic taste. And like their newest record, they have George Clinton that they collaborated with, like song number 1, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have all that funk and soul and jazz and punk. And that's one of those bands when I discovered them. Yeah, I was like, oh, you don't have to stick to one thing. You can like mix everything together. And I feel like especially nowadays, genre, like there is like such a hard like niche. You can follow whatever subgenre you want. But I do think more and more music that's coming out, I'm listening to it and I'm going, this is everything. They're pulling influence from this and from this. And I think that's happening more now than ever. But I also wanted to bring up with you is The Clash, because I know you're a huge Clash fan.
Yeah.
And the guys in The Clash all were big ska fans.
Yeah, and reggae.
And reggae, yeah. Because they did Paul Simonon, his most influential bass artists were like Family Man and a bunch of these other like 60s reggae Jamaican guys.
Yeah.
And same with like Topper. He was like a big jazz guy, but he could lock into that one drop so well.
Yeah.
And so hearing their part of reggae and ska, like listening to London Calling, what's the big one? The Rudy Can't Fail. I remember just being like, goddamn, even the Clash is doing ska. And like it was so cool for me to see.
The more I learn about The Clash or what was going on in England, the more I could see where those roots come from, because I just, because I didn't grow up in England, I'm like, what? How did they find all those records? But apparently, this is just from reading, like at the clubs where bands played, they would play reggae sort of over the speakers and stuff. So like that was kind of where a lot of these bands were starting to sort of hear it. And The Clash, absolutely. I would almost say that they leaned more on ska than they did reggae. A couple reggae songs, but there's some pictures I've seen him Topper where he's got some timbales on the side of the kit, and even Terry, when Topper wasn't in the band anymore, when Terry was in the band, Terry Chimes, he also had some timbales. I think they always try to put it in there. But thinking of the specials too, like I can't remember if back in those days they used timbales, but he hit the snare in this way that it sounded like a timbale.
Right.
And by the way, going back to the specials, I had a group of friends, and we collected records. We would go to the city, buy records, and the two-tone label was our way into ska.
Right.
So anything that had that label, it just, we'd buy imports. That's what made it look so cool. If it was the Selector or whoever, that was like the sort of like, we didn't even know what songs we were buying. Right. We would just buy the record and it looked really cool. Right. That was kind of our way into the specials and everything, and we just kept going with all those bands.
And I think that has a lot to do also with like the undergroundness of it all, is that you are kind of trusted in this community that that two-tone is going to put out something that you like. And that you can count on the label. Bands get signed to majors and that's all fine and good, but like if you like Epitaph or if you like Fat Wreck, then you're like, okay, I don't even need to know this band or have heard of them before. If it's by Fat Wreck, I'm probably gonna like it. It's the same kind of thing.
Labels should be that way. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
I just didn't want to leave Fishbone just yet.
Yeah, please.
Just also that that they to me looked like a ska band. Like even no matter how much they got into funk and everything else, but there's a weird link with Prince in which Prince sampled one of their songs on one of his albums, and it made me wish that they had played together.
Yeah.
But it was also nice. I just liked seeing that like Prince was aware of Fishbone. Made me really, really happy. Anyway, that's all I want.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. I'm going to be searching for that for sure. Okay, so then I also want to bring up that you have become somewhat of a meme in the ska community. I don't know if you know this, but your performance your bit you did on Jimmy Fallon, doing "Mom and Dad are the best you ever had." I've used that for a ton of videos of being like, if you don't know this song, then you're not a real ska fan, like Kathy Skankin and stuff. So what's your experience with like playing ska? Because you had the skank going pretty good on the guitar.
Yeah, I think I can play pretty good ska drums.
Sure.
Guitar, wow, I don't know, like, because it's not for me to say like, hey, I'm really good at it.
Sure. Does it feel comfortable when you
I love it. It's pretty easy, because it's repetitive, but I'm sure a real ska guitar player could come up to me and go like, no, actually, it's more like this.
Right.
But drums wise, it's one of my favorite beats to play because it's really tight.
Yeah.
And I love high tuned snares.
Me too, yeah.
And timbales I love. So I feel like I can. That's a genre I feel like I'm like, I think I could do it.
Right.
Only because I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much that I don't struggle with it. I'm like, no, I love it.
And I feel like you can tell when someone does love it versus like they're just trying to like recreate it, because there is the upstroke and the offbeat chicka chicka stuff, but there's like more nuance to it. And I'm sure there's like that like long short kind of thing that and like you can tap into that and then you have like a whole. You have all these tools in ska that are at your disposal now they've been done a million times. When you put them in the right order, it's like, oh, that person loves it. They know how to play it, and like, I don't know, you can even do like these little callbacks, and it just makes the whole community like you can see their influence.
Yeah, definitely.
Even like Vampire Weekend has a big ska influence.
Oh yes.
Ezra has talked a ton about third wave. Oh yeah, and like my favorite example is in their song. Diplomat Son from Contra. In the middle, they have a whole pressure drop section where it's a lot slower and the piano's going doon da dun doon da dun doon da dun, and it's 100% pressure drop. And just like, I just love knowing that like it's almost like a wink, like they're winking to the ska fans, like we see you, and we have that.
That's a good way to see it. There's another kind of guitar playing with ska where it's like on the lower notes, maybe on the A string or the D string, sort of following a little melody, like gong, 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 that kind of thing I really like too.
Right.
And I remember English Beat did a little bit of that, and I wonder if Madness, maybe Madness in a way.
Yeah, Madness is a huge one for a lot of people for like bringing ska to the forefront along with the specials. Like Madness, because Madness technically wasn't on two-tone.
Right.
But they played a ton of ska.
They were in the same
group
of
they're
people.
in Dance Craze. They're in Dance Craze
yeah.
movie. And
But I would say that Madness probably had the biggest hit of the time. Like they had a for real hit song.
yeah. Talking about like with Our House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
totally.
like a no question.
Yeah.
Like, like a defining of the 80s.
Absolutely.
But I remember seeing them on MTV, and that was an other entryway into England. I was like, that's what England looks like.
Right,
I was like, whoa, those sort of muted colors, and
Right.
it made me really want to be there.
Yeah. Well, I remember even like knowing Our House, and then like later in life discovering ska, like really getting into it in high school and just going on a YouTube search for anything I could find, or LimeWire if I'm being honest. And I was like,
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Madness come up with like Night Boat to Cairo, and I was like, wait, is that the band that does like does Our House? And then I listened to it and I was like, holy shit, like it's a ska band, and just like freaking out about that.
Oh, that's how, that was your way into it.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I mean, because I knew of Our House, and I loved that song, and then going, oh wait, they play ska too,
Oh my God.
and like freaking out about that.
Because of our age difference, I came in the other way around.
Right.
Where, I knew them first as like a ska band.
Yeah.
And then they seemed really underground because they had early videos on. They had like almost like they looked like they were shot on film. And then I was like, whoa, they got big now on MTV.
That's really cool. But no, back with the Mom and Dad are the best you ever had. It does, like, one of the things I appreciate about you and your comedy is that you pick up on these really tiny observations that, like, the people who know about it, like, can really see that, and it's very funny. And that's why I think the Mom and Dad are the best you ever had, is you are absolutely tapping into that, like, goofiness and whimsy of, like, the third wave ska. Like, my favorite band of all time is Real Big Fish, and that pisses a lot of ska fans off because they are so like silly and fun, and there's not really like the political aspect of it that was up in like two-tone and stuff.
Yeah, but why would someone give you a hard time about it?
I don't know. It's there's been a not a ton, but a little bit of like poo-pooing of third wave, as far as like underground subculture stuff goes.
But that goes with every genre. There's always someone has a problem with some band. Every genre also has a band that's like a little goofier than the others, and great.
Yeah.
As it should be.
And you embrace that too, and so that's something I want to talk about to get off of ska. We've done enough of ska.
Never enough of ska.
Never. Okay, I was testing you. Devo is another one that's like a huge influence for me, and I know that you're a massive Devo fan and that you've played a bunch with them. And that's the same kind of thing where it is a statement and it is an art piece, but there's like whimsy and goofiness to it that makes it approachable. And that's what drew me into Devo originally. Like same thing, like seeing Whip It and like, oh, that's funny. That's a funny music video. And then really like getting into it and going like, oh, this is a whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about ska too. So they go hand in hand with me. But I did want to talk a little bit about Devo and your time with them. I think just from things I've seen of you, we're very similar in that we like celebrate every small thing in our life. I celebrate every tiny thing of even like getting to talk to you is a huge celebration for me. Getting to talk to Fishbone, even like taking a picture with Fishbone, I was like, this is a celebration for me for the rest of time. Yeah. I couldn't imagine like having Mark Mothersbaugh being like, hey, do you want to come play drums for us? Like, what's that like? Do you still have that appreciation, or is it like, oh, it's just my buddy Mark?
It's all of those things at the same time.
Yeah.
So on the surface, or mostly, of course, I'm in shock. Of course, I can't believe it. Even to, look into band members of Devo's eyes and they're looking back at me. I'm like, I went to go see them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Just like bought tickets and, but then there's a weird other, I'd almost call it a spiritual thing where when I look back at life and I think about how much Devo meant to me, I like that, like, then the other part of the story is that, like, and then we met and then it's almost like we had a conversation. They, with their art, was like, hey, this is for you. What do you think? And I'm very happy that I had a chance to answer and say, hey, this is my input. So it's like a meeting of two, entities.
Yeah.
So that's because I feel like I try to make art, for lack of a better word. So I'm like, so if they make stuff and I make stuff and then we get to meet and do something together, I like that as a story. I'm like, that's how art should feel.
Yeah.
And then there's this other layer, which is a little more worky, which is when they ask me to play drums, I have to get over the feeling of like, oh, these are my heroes, and more like, this is serious drumming. They have a fan base.
Yeah.
And I can't walk in there showing off, playing my style,
Right.
playing my version of Devo. It's like, I'd say almost military.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I've got to serve their fans and the band,
Yeah.
and keep it to what was played on the records. A very and that takes a lot of practice. So even though I was thrilled, I was like, I have homework.
Right.
And I went back to my practice space and played those songs. Even though I know them like the back of my hand, I really, really know those songs.
Yeah.
I don't even have to think about it. I still have to deliver in a way. I still have to practice, and no flubs, no shortcuts, no nothing. It's not they're not a frivolous loose band that way.
Right. It's show day, so I'm going home. I'm getting out of my uniform and into my show fit. Check for my phone, wallet, keys, and of course, my Eargasm earplugs. I never go to a show without them. They come in this convenient carrying case and go easily in your ear. Now you have high quality sound at every show you go to. So head over to eargasm.com to get yours and use promo code MAILMAN10 for 10% off your next order. That's eargasm.com, promo code MAILMAN10 for 10% off your next order. Do you know the Devo connection to ska? I do this bit on my all my socials. That's 6 degrees of ska operation.
Let's hear it.
It's connecting everyone into the world of ska. Devo was really simple. Mark Mothersbaugh has a recurring segment on Yo Gabba Gabba, which is like art with Mark, and he does little drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
And the showrunners, the creators of that show, are Christian Jacobs and Parker Jacobs, who are the Aquabats, and so. And they're really good buddies, and they do stuff together all the time. And so growing up, or having my kids watching Yo Gabba Gabba, I get to point out and be like, that's Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo. That's the MC Bat Commander from the Aquabats. And you kind of get to show this next generation all these really great artists all pulled into one spot. And so, yeah, Mark Mothersbaugh is very, very close with the ska community because of the Yo Gabba Gabba connection.
Damn it, that's too. I can't top it. I wish I could sort of come back at you with well, actually, but when you brought it up, I was like, okay, who could it be? Brian Eno? No.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't think of any of just any band members who had played in a ska band. Damn it, you've got me beat. Darn.
Well, let's take this last little bit to talk about the tour and the sound effects record. I listened to the sound effects record as soon as it came out.
Oh, thanks.
It's very fun. It's my exact kind of thing, where I like the genuine attempt at sound effects mixed with the comedy bits of it all, especially being someone who's grown up playing in bands. I know the big one you've done a lot is the bartender being like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And
that would happen here somewhere.
Exactly, yeah. I've been in this room playing a show on this stage.
Yeah, let's go. The show is over.
I played a show on this stage, and it just, as soon as I turned it on, I hear okay, can I get some kick? Boom, boom, boom. And it's just and it's so perfect.
Thanks.
But same with the camping one. That gets me every time.
Wow.
The zipper, every time I am crying with laughter. So what was your idea? What made you want to do a sound effects record?
I just felt like they were missing. And I'm sure they are out there.
Sure.
But the act of a release, an actual record, as opposed to a library online, I was like, what? It was something I was curious about. Whatever happened to those? And then little by little, I was like, well, let me try to put one together. And then I committed to it.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't just an idea that could be easily thrown out. And it took me a year.
Yeah.
And I first I thought it would be easy. I'll just do music ones. But then there just were never enough because they're so short.
Right.
So I was like, I can't put this out as a record. It's only 10 ideas. So I just kept, making it grow.
I love it. Did you have like those types of records growing up? Like I have a record collection where it's like the funniest TV bloopers and stuff like that. And I love collecting those kinds of records. Is that something that you've been into, or is it just like, I haven't seen or heard of this in a while?
No, I always liked them, but the ones I tended to have were more Haunted Mansion based.
Oh, okay.
They're more Halloween.
Yeah.
And I worked at a record store in the 90s, and I remember sound effects up CDs coming through there.
Yeah.
And those would be all kinds of stuff, people, audience sounds, people booing, clapping, and that kind of thing. And so that was my sort of connection to them. So, yeah.
And so then is the tour in support of the record in a traditional way?
No, two separate things. Two separate things, although lately I have been doing some sound effects, audience participation stuff.
Okay, yeah.
It's ended up working out.
Right. So you have some more dates left on this tour. We're in Boise. You're playing at the Egyptian Theater tonight. This episode's going to come out tomorrow. You're in Salt Lake City tomorrow. Where are you going the rest of the tour?
Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah.
And that's it, but I always go on tour. I always I'll do a run of Pacific Northwest dates. I just do like jaunts of like 2 weeks or something.
Sure. Well, and it seems like you have a lot of fun. I just saw the video of you performing with Slater Kenny as like as a Ramones group, and I loved everything about that. I have said since I was 15, if I'm going to be in a cover band, it's going to be a Ramones cover band. Yeah. And like I'd want to dress up and do all the things. So that just looked like a fun time. Looks like you go and like find fun on the tour as well.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was fun, but those are relentless songs.
Sure, especially on drums.
Yeah, those are relentless. They really they are very dense, those songs. So I love it, but there's no sort of like hanging back and just,
I get you.
I'm just gonna, it's definitely like, it's like being on a motorcycle.
Have you seen those videos live where he's got the second hi-hat and he's just going...
No.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Like old Ramones videos where, you have the... You can have the, yeah.
He's got a second hi-hat on the right?
second hi-hat on the right that it's
what
closed.
A good idea.
It's closed. And he's playing lightning fast 16 songs.
Yeah. It's insane.
And I could watch it all day long.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
That takes real practice. And I think Johnny, same thing, the all downstrokes.
Right. And he's doing all bar chords too. People think it's just power, but he's doing the full bar codes. It's every time I watch him, it's like that's one of my top favorite bands. That's probably gonna be my top played on Spotify this year.
Yeah, legends. And
I also think their catalog lends themselves really well to ska. I think you can easily do ska covers of those songs.
Sure.
Like California Sun, I've heard like 3 or 4 different bands cover that.
Really?
Especially the and I walk and they walk on. It works really well because it's surf based.
I could totally see it.
Yeah, and the surf rockness of it lends itself to ska really well too, like what the Aquabats do.
But I think it's a cover to begin with.
Yeah, it is. So it's a cover of a cover.
Yeah, but still, those exist.
It works.
Those are legit.
I know the Interrupters, which is like a really big ska band right now.
I know the
They've
Interrupters.
blown up. And
gigantic.
I saw them in this room in 2016 when they were a tiny band, and they did do California Sun. It was so cool.
See it totally making sense.
Yeah,
it's really funny the California connection to ska.
Yeah,
I think somewhere in California, I think there was even a sort of key to the city or like a ska, maybe a specials day or something.
Yeah, that sounds probably about right.
Yeah, and it's just funny. It's like it's so England is so far away, and somehow
and it's
California just took to it.
And it's known as like OC ska, Orange County ska.
Yeah.
And it's huge, right? And
I said like I knew that. I mean, I'm meaning like I know that it's huge in Southern California. I didn't know it as OC ska.
Yeah, OC ska is like a real big thing because you have bands like Real Big Fish, No Doubt, Sublime,
I guess,
Goldfinger. kind of all the same, like where the punk bands of the 90s were, like Pennywise and Hermosa Beach, the Descendants. They all kind of come from that same area.
That's
and
so wild.
There's something about the air that like everyone's into it.
Totally.
When I took a trip to San Diego a few years ago, and I felt like there were just reggae and ska was everywhere. Like I went to Guitar Center, and Guitar Center here is like fine, but then I went to the San Diego one, and they have things like specific areas. It's like, this is like the reggae area, and I was like, that's incredible to me.
Wow.
Like I just loved everything about that. So there's something about Southern California that they are so open to ska.
Yeah.
At least used to be. I don't know how much it is anymore, but
I'm gonna guess that it's still going.
yeah, I
in that
know.
way.
I know. There's rumors that if you go to Volcano Burger, you can still see Aaron Barrett from Real Big Fish hanging out there now and then.
That's your band.
So it is my band. I got to go to Volcano
How
Burger.
have you not met them?
I've met a few of them. Actually,
Okay.
I just interviewed their trumpet player last week. I've met a few of them, and I did a really long interview with Scott Kloffenstein, which is like their long-term, like he joined the band when he was like 15.
Yeah.
And I did an interview with him last year, and he's ended up being somewhat of a friend, and we'll chat now and then. And I went to a show where I saw him in Austin, and after the show he came up to the lip of the stage, was like, Adam, thanks for coming. And I'm just like, that's crazy. That's my guys, you know. So
that's your band.
Well, we're really excited for the show tonight. It's going to be fun. If you need some ska guitar lessons, I'd be happy to show you. But
all right.
but anyway, thanks so much for coming down. I didn't mention we're at the Olympic venue in Boise, Idaho, right here. Shout out to Ben for letting us use the space, and thank you so much for coming down. I really appreciate it.
Or like to, as we like to call it, the Ska Olympic.
The Ska Olympic. We're doing that. We're using that. Awesome. Well, I'm going to say a few things about the show. If you want to think of like something you want to leave us on, some like fun last words, if you can, just while I do the outro.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for listening to the Ska Mailman Podcast. Give us a like and a share, follow, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It means a whole lot more than you think. And follow my band, Lab Rats, LABBRATS. Yes, it's terrible search engine optimization, but that's what I got. Lab Rats. Follow the Ska Mailman Holiday Mosh playlist as the holidays are coming up right now. It's full of ska, punk, emo, metal, folk, everything, all holidays. This show is part of the Never Phase Network, a group of creators dedicating to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. If you are into band deep dives or you just want to scream the words to your favorite songs to the top of your lungs, follow Never Phase Network on all the social medias and go to neverphasenetwork.com. And now, the last words from Fred Armisen.
Make sure to be well equipped with your Bart Skamson t-shirts.
Boom. I totally forgot to talk about Bart Skamson. Thank you so much, Fred.
My pleasure.